Hi everyone, let's get started. Thank you for joining, all of you. Welcome to Data Plus Women New England August session. Let's get started. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Um, Okay, today's agenda is we will have a quick introduction, and then Preethi will give us some tips on enhancing your visualizations, and then we have Sara walking us through her data journey, and then we will do the most awaited thing, that is showcase the visualize her wish competition showcase, and then we will do the Q&A. Data+Women New England tug was mainly established to empower and recognize women who are in the data career, and have them to recognize them and showcase them. And Meta leadership team, we have Karishma, that is me, Dawn, Sakshi, and Krishma as co-leads of Data+Women New England. And we have Dia, Madhuri, Hilary, Preethi, and Nyal as, on our advisory board. And then we have Preethi talking about the how to enhance. She'll be giving us some tips on uh, enhancing visualizations. Preeti is known for transforming complex data, and she has had over a million views for her current visualizations that she has done. Her achievements also include women in she has Viz Awards and Women in Analytics Data Visualization Award, and she's also a co-lead at Tableau Public she, at Tableau Public, and she's also co-leading Boston Tug, and she's a Tableau Public ambassador twice. And she's also on our advisory board at Data+Women New England. And I'll hand it over to Preethi to give us some tips on sharing how to enhance her visualizations.
Thank you, Karishma, for that introduction. And as Karishma said, I'm today going to walk you through a few of the tips that I have learned over the years to enhance the data visualizations that I built, right? Because you can learn the tips and techniques through the training sessions or learning from other people of how to build charts, how to build a dashboard. But what I've found over the years is utilizing some UI techniques, these small four changes that you can bring to your data visualization, which will make a much more impact on how your data dashboards come across. So let me quickly share my screen of what I'm going to walk you through today. So I hope everybody can see the screen. Somebody give me a thumbs up. Okay, I got the nod. So there you go. So when it comes to creating dashboards and Tableau, since the options are so many, it can be time consuming and sometimes overwhelming. Like you have the colors to choose, you have calculations, you have to figure out the filters. There's so much to sift through. But in my current session, what I'm going to walk you through is these four simple tips that are going to change your dashboard cleanup much better. The four tips I'm going to get you through in a second, but keep in mind how many of you have seen this dashboard whenever you have logged into Tableau for the first time. You must have experienced the Superstore dashboard, right? So that is the one on this top corner. So that is the before. We are going to utilize our tips and transform it into this dashboard. So the four UI design resources that I'm going to talk to you about is increasing your white space, using clear font hierarchy, defining distinct spaces within your dashboard, And finally, how you can streamline and smooth out your visual layout by just simplifying the dashboard. So let's come to the original dashboard that you all might have seen. This is based upon the Superstore data set that we have. It talks about, it has some key KPIs on the top. It has a prominent map that is showing you the profitability across, and it is divided into monthly sales by segment and monthly sales by category. And there are a set of filters that will help you play with this dashboard. Having created this dashboard, how many times have you encountered that you have created something very analytical, but you don't get the response at your workplace of people not utilizing it or clicking it? It could be that it is an overwhelming dashboard. So there are a few techniques that you can implement to simplify it in the way it looks. So the first thing that you want to do is white space. How many of you have typed into Google? So this is the Google's landing page of what you're trying to find, right? It is so simple and clear. Google is very clear about what it is trying to do. It has all the white space that tends to give you that this is the search button that where you are going to search for your important thing. So your eyes right away concentrate on this part. So this way, the white space is narrowing your focus on specific thing that is important. Having utilized that, so let's take our dashboard and add some white space. So right away, you see I've added this white space around the title, giving it a breathability option. I had shifted all those KPIs into a grouping. So there is this nice little grouping, but there is enough space between it so that there is some breathing that is happening. And I have replaced or rearranged my visualization so that there is enough gap or space between the charts that you are looking at. So with this, now you can see you have created a section where the person's eye will concentrate right away on the thing that they are looking at. A key tip that I have for you is leverage the most viewed spot. Do you know that the top left-hand side corner of your web page is the key point where the human eye goes first, especially for the English readers, right? Because you read from left to right. That is the top corner. That is the real estate where you want your key information to be placed. So having a clear title with enough breathable space is what is catching the human eye. Cool. So you have now learned about adding white space, adding a little bit of padding between your charts to that breathable option. The second thing that I would suggest is adding some font hierarchy. What does font hierarchy do? Font hierarchy will sort of create a sense of flow to help people focus on what are the areas that they need to look at. So in this example that I have up on your screen, you see this text. What are you looking at first? Your eye is not able to catch what is the place where it has to go and look at. But having implied font hierarchy in the size of giving weightage, adding the color to your title, now you right away know your eye goes to this point where you say, oh, I read this text first, then this text, and then the smaller text. So utilizing the same principle, let's bring that to our dashboard. So I hope you see what I did right away, right? The title has been increased in size and it is prominently like I have all capital letters up here. So it's right away catching your eye. Previously, the monthly sales by segment and by category was a long straight line without having that subtitle distinction. So now I have a subtitle that is bolded. I have this by segment and by category in a different font or a different sizing, so your eye catches the hierarchy of the font that you are looking at. The other key thing that I would suggest is, since you have these big KPIs, try and make them impactful KPIs. Have the KPIs in a bigger font so that, and the type and the subject about what this KPI is in a smaller font. So now you have created a visual hierarchy within the visualization. So this way you are now able to train the eye where it goes to, where it does it need to look at in the process. So far, are you all with me? 2 points, right? Add white spaces, create enough breathing room in your visualization, add font hierarchy. Font hierarchy can be implemented by using weightage, it could be used by color, and it could be done by having a distinct font. Okay, so the third point I have for you is to create defined spaces. Sometimes it is important that you define different spaces in your dashboard by simply adding a color background. So it sort of creates a grouping of what you are looking at. So as you can see in this viz, what I have done is on my left-hand side, I have created this KPI sort of a section where it is all in a background of darker white. But up here, my monthly sales segment is in a different font. Again, remember, this is the same dashboard, same layout, same sizing, but now this is becoming more impactful because the KPIs are grouped out in a defined cleared space. Their sizing is bigger, the font sizing is bigger. Up here, I have a different segment that my eye is trained to look at in a lighter format, a lighter background, and it is highlighting what I'm looking at, which is monthly sales by segment and by category. Having done all this, the last thing that I would suggest that you do with your dashboards is to simplify it. How do you simplify your dashboard? Previously, when I was looking at my dashboard, I didn't know what were the date ranges. I would have to look at the filter for what date ranges that I was looking at. What I did was I quickly automated and pulled that date range up here. So whenever you do a printout or create a PDF of your dashboard, as we are asked so many times, can I get a PDF copy of this? That is where the reader will right away know, oh, okay, so this is the data set that I'm looking from January 2017 to December 2019. The other thing that I did was using the chart type that makes most sense for your dashboard. I love the map that it comes with in Originality because it shows you where America is and it is the most recognized map. But I would implore you to explore this opportunity of creating a hex map instead or a tile map instead, because it sort of gives same weightage to each state. And having done that, your eye will right away know that which are the states that are not doing so great, because I've color coded this section of it. So yeah, these are the 4 simple UI tricks that I use in my day-to-day to make sure that the dashboards that I have created create a lasting impact and part the information that I'm trying to give it to my users. So I'll stop my share here. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to put them in chat. I'm more than happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Preethi. Those were definitely some useful tricks for us. Now, next up, we have knowing Sara's journey. I'm handing over to Dawn. Dawn, please take the lead.
Sure. Before we continue, I wanted to ask Preethi if that dashboard was on your Tableau Public profile. Can we find that great example there?
Yes, Dawn, it is on my Tableau Public profile, but I will have to provide you with the link of it because it is in the hidden pages. So I'm more than happy to share it with the group, and I would love if you all can utilize it. Yeah.
I think you can put it on the chat. That will be useful for everybody to.
Oh, I think Krishma already has. So awesome. All right. So I guess I'm going to share my entire window and time to introduce, there we go. So I want to say welcome to our special guest, Sara Nell-Rodriguez. I was excited to meet her. She came recommended from my Tableau CSM. I was like, oh, hey. Sara is a dynamic coach and an educator specializing in data literacy with a personal, inspiring approach, and she's taught hundreds of trainers and thousands of students around the world. Her Train the Trainer course, I don't know if you've heard about that or have seen it advertised on LinkedIn if you follow her on LinkedIn. It enhanced the ability of data professionals to teach and promote literacy effectively, making Sara a sought-after leader in the field. So welcome, Sara. If you want to say hi.
For having me, and this makes me sound way more fancy than I feel.
So wanted to ask you some questions about your career. I was inspired hearing about your background because, you know, some of us on the call, we train and love to hear those tips that you have for other trainers. But can you share your journey in the data field? What inspired you to pursue a career in data?
You know, when you had sent me this question, I was really wondering how to answer it because I feel like my journey into data is not the traditional journey at all. And then I started thinking nobody's journey to data is traditional at all. No one says, I'm going into data one day and suddenly here they are. I mean, I think that's an option now, but if you go back 10, 15 years, a data career was only for the chosen few.
Oh no, you froze.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool. I'm glad. My journey is from necessity, though, where I was in a place of poverty and didn't really have a lot of funds to live the way one would. Pay rent, buy groceries, but I ended up learning Excel at a job. One of my Excel is the gateway for so many people into the data world. It was the gateway for me. And that was how I got into data, was Excel. And I just used it for everything. And Excel led me to Tableau, actually. So my journey is just one that I think a lot of people do. They learn things on the job, and you want to make more money, and data jobs happen to pay you a lot more money than typical administrative jobs do.
Yeah, I would say similar experience. Got into Excel first and then led the way to other BI tools in there. What advice do you have for aspiring data professionals, especially women looking to break into the field?
I would say since I went out on my own and started my own business, Be Data Lit, the advice I give people is very different than what I would have said 5 years ago. And here's why. Because now that I have Be Data Lit, I'm talking to people who don't know what the term data is. Like, they know it just as a term, but they don't understand what it is. What is the context of data? So I think if you're a data professional, a lot of you work in data, you most likely have data in your title or in your description. That data is very different to people outside of that world. So talking about it can really open up worlds for people who they don't typically understand what data is. Just finding different ways to talk about data, that it's insight, that it helps you make decisions, that it provides you with information you wouldn't have had otherwise. And that has been a huge thing for me. And it creates a lot of inclusivity for people who feel left out of this data world, or maybe they feel diminished otherwise. Like, why are you talking about this really esoteric topic when I really don't know what you mean by it? So I think that's one of the biggest things, how you can create inclusivity by how you talk about data.
I find that some people are kind of intimidated by the concept of data at first. So I like breaking it down into, like, you know, use cases for most people when they're trying to do something, then they'll have the aha moment. So what teaching methods or tools do you find most effective in helping students grasp the concept of data?
Teaching is not the traditional teaching anymore, where you go to a classroom. There are things like that available, but that is probably one of the things I love about the data sphere and the community that surrounds it, groups like this, because what we're doing right now is teaching. Like what Preethi just shared, that's teaching. I love that teaching has become this informal approach in some ways, but it almost makes it more approachable because of that. And that's one of my favorite things about what education and teaching have evolved into. It's this much more informal approach and more casual almost. So communities are education. Workshops like this are education. TikTok videos. I am a huge fan of TikTok because you learn so much in a short period of time. And it's because our attention spans are so short. So embrace some of these more casual approaches to education, and you're actually going to get much more attraction to your learning too.
I've said the same thing. The short video clips like, you know, TikTok, YouTube help with learning new concepts. So what's the best piece of career advice you've received, and how has it shaped your journey?
I thought about this one for a long time too. I mean, I'm in my 40s, so I've had over 20 years of career advice, but the one that has stood out to me in the last 20 years, and it's been something I share with people, is go where you're wanted. And I think especially in careers, and right now, especially in 2024, the job market is weird. Like it's just straight up weird right now. And we settle for things that don't serve us. We settle for jobs we feel like we should get or what people tell us we should do. And a lot of times those jobs, let's be honest, can be traumatic, especially being a woman in data. Like there is true trauma out there in some of the roles that we take, and really leaning into the go where you're wanted. And you know when you are, when people seek you out, when you feel appreciated, when you feel respected, when your voice resonates. And I don't think we should compromise on that as women either. And I would rather increase people's satisfaction in jobs because they set these really tight boundaries on going where they're wanted than going through a lot of the experiences women previously have had to go through.
So in a sense, do you recommend kind of being able to forge your own path or speaking up for yourself when you find yourself in a role like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I totally do. I think it's one of the hardest things for women to do is to speak up for themselves and to advocate for themselves. And the thing I have found too is you have to be your cheerleader because a lot of times nobody else will be. So speaking up for yourself shows that you respect who you are, that you appreciate what you bring to a table, and you know if you're not in the right scenario either. So advocating for yourself, is this something I can live with if this happens? And a lot of times I've heard so many horror stories from women over the years, and so many of them say they wish they would have spoken up and left.
So what would you think, and I know this is not one of the scripted, but you're making me think too. So what are some of the signs that you think that you are in a role that's not really a good fit, that you would think?
Are you included?
I might be. Are you included? Like if you notice that, yeah, if you're excluded from the conversation.
Yeah. Are you brought to the table? Inclusion can be many different things when I say that though. Are you included to meetings you should be a part of? Are you included in conversations where you are a key stakeholder? Are you included in efforts that, again, you are a key stakeholder in? I think that is one of the more, I would say, passive ways that you can see some of these red flags show up is just that, am I where I need to be in this job? And are people bringing me to the table? But then from there, do people speak over you? Are they taking some of your ideas and saying they're your own? Do you feel you even have a path forward for skill development or even for a promotion? So I think there's a lot of these little microaggressions that can happen in the workplace. And it's really subtle, especially in that inclusion piece.
And I think that also ties into speaking up for yourself. Like if you ever notice that you weren't included, because sometimes it may just happen, you know, like if you're in different locations too across the globe, you might not be just because you're not in that location. So I would say speak up for yourself is very important in that. Like have that conversation of like, hey, why wasn't I included? You know, those are all things that you can do.
Very much.
So yeah, I definitely echo that. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
So much of what we're already talking about. I think for the longest time, I was really ashamed of my journey. When you talk about how I got into data, I say it's from a position of poverty. I was really ashamed of that journey for a really long time, where I never really talked about it or brought it up. And I mean, there were days where I really thought I was going to be homeless, and it just really impacted how I approach my career. And if anything, it was my superpower, where I had this context of value, where a job is value. It's a transaction almost. You're providing a service so that you can have a roof over your head, so you can put food on your table. And I think that's the biggest thing. Don't get too caught up in the Kool-Aid when you're younger. I think that's one of the things. You buy into the mission of all these organizations, but they're not bought into you. And buy into yourself first and foremost. So I wish I would have had that confidence in my youth. I wish I would have had confidence going from job to job instead. And jobs can break your heart sometimes. And I think I would have saved a few broken hearts by doing that.
Yeah, all great advice, Sarah. Thank you so much for giving us your personal background and your story. Is there anything else that you would like to tell, you know, anybody on the call?
I would love to tell all of you, this is amazing. Being in a group of women, there's 30 of you out there right now, being in a room that is all women is probably one of the most inspiring and empowering things you can do. So make sure to persist that in all the different spaces you're in. Like, this is a purposeful meeting, but make room online, tag women, promote women, just keep being your badass selves and promoting other badass women out there too. That's the only way we get ahead, is by supporting each other.
Sarah, before you move ahead, we have a couple of questions from the team. Thank you for sharing your story. It was really inspiring. And I am a huge supporter of all the tips that you said. I truly appreciate that. And my work experience, I've started gaining confidence and just supporting myself and to advocate for myself. So thank you for doing that. And the question from Preethi is, what role do you think mentorship or networking plays in advancing like women's career in data? And how can one effectively seek out those opportunities?
I'm a huge fan of mentorship and networking. I mean, this right here is networking too. Not only are you learning, but you're also networking. And you want people who are going to mention your name in the rooms you're not in. And you're creating a circle of women who are going to do just that. People who are going to say, but I know this person. I know Dawn. I know Krishma. I know Preethi. These are amazing women. So you're creating this amazing network by doing something like this. And mentorship for me has always been huge. No matter what point of my journey I'm at, I look for someone who can help me on that next step where I want to go. I will say, starting your own business, I needed a mentor. I needed a coach. So I got my own coach, someone who was successful and did all the things I wanted to do, teaching me how to do those things now. So look for someone who inspires you. Look for someone who is going to help you get to what you want to do next. And I think no matter how successful you feel you are, there's always going to be someone for a different stage in that journey.
That's so true.
Thank you so much for that, Sarah, because I remember sharing with this group, one of my things that I want to do is start a business that is very women oriented and serves minorities, especially in the data fields, right? Because it lacks so much representation. And having hear you say that you need a coach, because I sometimes struggle. I'm like, how does one start a business? And it's not just starting of the business, it's maintaining it and making sure it's successful. So from this conversation, I figured out who I can reach out to and ask questions in this journey that I have.
I love that. I love hearing that so much. Yeah, there's never going to be a single point in your career where you're like, all right, I've done it all. Cool. I'm out. There's always going to be something else. Your goals are always going to change, your personal KPIs, so to speak. But that's always going to be a moving target. So just make sure you're adjusting with that, and a coach and a mentor can really help you with that adjustment.
Thank you so much, Sara. I also got a lot of inspiration from your journey. Definitely, there are a lot of things that I would pick from your experience personally for myself. Thank you. I'm sure it would have helped everybody else. And before we move ahead for our next thing, I would like to thank everybody who participated in the Visualize Her competition. And here are some of the very I have some snapshots of people who did visualizations from people. It was really nice experience to have a look at them, understand each one, and they were wonderful. I learned a lot from this personally. Thank you, everybody. And next, we will have Dia announcing our third winner, the visualization that won the third place. Dia, please go ahead.
Sure. Thanks for leaving and allowing me to see that. So the most awaited phase of the meeting, I will say, is here after Sarah has been sharing her experience. And it was great to know that. But I'm super excited to announce the third place winner, which is Ratnesh Pandey. His powerful visualization explores the critical issue of women's underrepresentation across various sectors globally, from political to entertainment and the workplace. By examining this gender imbalanced picture over the left hand side, if you see the small picture there where it has visualized the man and woman contribution in all the sectors around the globe, I will say. And by examining this gender imbalance picture over the time, Ratnesh reveals just how slow progress has been. And huge congratulations to Ratnesh for holding third place in the competition. We really appreciate your participation here.
Congratulations, Ratnesh. And next, we will be revealing the second winner. And here you go, Krishma. Go ahead.
Thank you, Parishma, for letting me do the second winner. And for the winner number 2, it's Jane Kamata. Congratulations, Jane. We really loved your whiz about the political feminine phenomena, about the American women in politics, and her visualization kept in mind all the political elections that are going on in the current 2024. And American women have continued to strengthen their role in politics since Laura Instine became the first female elected state official in 1893. And she used the data for the Center of American Women in Politics. And her visualization actually explores all the increasing involvement of women in the US government, positions by party, race, state, and US president. It was a great whiz, and the interactivity was just amazing. So I would share the link of the dashboard and the socials for all the winners here. And again, Jane, congratulations and thank you for participating. You just made a difference. So congratulations again.
Congratulations, Jane. The most awaited one, the winner of the Visualize Her 2024 Viz Showcase is Ria. To do that, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. So here we are with the first place holder and the most excited. Though everybody participated, did a great job as we see how all different perspectives come into visualizations, how we see women have been, participating everywhere around all the sectors. But this is the one which stands out both analytically and visually. So the one of the most thrilled to announce that the first place winner of our Tableau visualization competition, Visualize Her, is Heather Cox. Congratulations, Heather. Uh, Her visualization safety in numbers provides a detailed analysis of South Australian road accidents data, like a great data set, I will say, while visualizing whether the drivers, well, female and male drivers are more prone to get accidents on road, revealing the heightened injury risk for female drivers, risk not accounted by road conditions or accident frequency. Heather's work also highlights the critical gender data gap in crash testing, emphasizing how vehicle safety improvements often overlook the unique needs of female bodies. Congratulations, Heather, on selecting the most impactful data set and visualizing it to the most creative way and easy to understand. And I really appreciate everybody who participated in this competition, and we look forward for engaging participation in this visualizations. Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations, Heather. Thank you so much. Congratulations to all the winners, Heather, Jane, and Ratnesh. You all can reach out to Dawn to know more about getting your swags. And that's all for today. Do you guys have any questions?
I just want to congratulate Jane. She has joined us here today. So, Jane, I'm so excited for you. Congratulations on your second spot and joining us. And as previously said, it was a great experience to see such vast variety of people coming and participating in Visualize Her competition. And the competition is successful only because the people are participating in it, right? So we would love to keep the momentum going, and hopefully we will have some more information about when we are going to come back with this competition next time.
Congratulations, Jane, again. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, everybody.